Welcome to the Glenn Beck program. America, tonight here is your choice. Because you get to choose. That's what America is all about. Are you for big and possibly global government, special interests, and too big to fail? Or choice number two, limited government run by we the people. And moms and dads are the special interest. The entrepreneur is a special interest. And personal responsibility. That is your choice. And I don't mean, the choice, hey, let's get the Republicans elected in November. No, it's the Democrats. This choice transcends the donkey and the elephant. America is at a fork in the road, and you have to choose. But I think you're already choosing. We'll go into that in just a second. Come on, let's do some work. Hello, America. Just about a year and a half ago, I went on the air with one goal in mind, and I can't believe that how much things have changed. You remember, I was in this studio. It looked a little different back then, and I wanted to remind people, wake up, wake up, and remember the one thing that I think you had forgotten, that you're not alone, that you have them surrounded. And what I meant by that was not that the conservatives have liberals surrounded or the Republicans have the Democrats surrounded. What I meant and what I mean tonight is this, that the average everyday mom and dad and small business owner who lives their lives with the values and the principles of common sense, you have the establishment, the progressive, out-of-control government, the politicians from both sides of the aisle surrounded. The people who actually pay their taxes and don't spend more than they earned. Which one was it? Was it the people that believed in the Constitution or the out-of-control bureaucrats who could never tell the truth, it seemed? Well, then Rick Santelli went on and he expressed frustration at the government rewarding what he called bad behavior without the mortgage bailout. He said there should be a tea party. Wow, he said a mouthful. Because that's where it started. He and the rest of America probably never envisioned a day like yesterday happening quite so quickly. Remember I told you that this was what was it, June maybe, or July? I told you, I said there's this cycle and you think that you're defeated because they keep moving forward, but you've won. You've won. The Tea Party candidates racked up more victories last night. This time in Delaware and the New York primaries. Everybody in the media is talking about Delaware and New York, and that's great. But they've missed the complete story. It is not solely about these candidates who won in New York and Delaware. They may be great. They may stink on ice. I don't know. I leave that up to other people to take care of on the other shows. I'm not voting in either New York or Delaware. These guys are just the latest. It has happened over and over and over again, and yet the Tea Party keeps being dismissed. In Alaska, Joe Miller beat Senator Lisa Murkowski, but he did more than that. He ended a 3-decade family dynasty. Lisa Murkowski's dad was a senator from 1981 until 2002. Then he was governor. In Utah, Mike Lee emerged, and incumbent Bob Bennett was ousted. Bennett was seeking his 4th term, even though he originally only promised that he'd serve 2 terms and then he'd quit. He served 18 years. Kentucky Rand Paul defeated Republican establishment favorite Trey Grayson. Paul won with about 59% of the vote. The Tea Party is a force. When has something like this happened in politics before? Can you remember a time? Because I can't. It is amazing. No matter how much money, no matter how much the media throws over and over and over again, the Tea Parties grow bigger and bigger and bigger, and the media and the politicians in Washington don't see it. I don't know why I'm surprised. Time didn't even run a picture of the Tea Parties in the Year in Pictures last year. Do you remember that? But I don't know how you can miss it now. Look what you have done. You've done the impossible. You've gone, in 18 months, from feeling helpless to a powerhouse. That my favorite line in the Drudge Report was this morning, and it said, establishment freaked. Great. You've done all of this against all of the special interest forces of the establishment, many times running candidates who, I mean, you want to talk about don't have a traditional political pedigree. I mean, a lot of these people are just simply awful on the campaign trail. But you'd rather have somebody who's not a good politician, but has some common sense. These are regular moms and dads, plumbers, bakers, shop owners. You did it. And when I said you did it, I don't mean you won this election. Last night, you won the election, but this isn't mission accomplished. There's a mighty battle going on. I just wanted to take a moment and say, look at this. Again, can you show the Drudge Report? I love this. I saw this morning when I got up, and I celebrated right here. Establishment freaks. That's fantastic. Remember, what were all the hippies saying in the 30s? Don't trust the establishment, man. Oh, you guys have sold out so far, haven't you? Yes. Maybe it's all the dope you smoked. Anyway, the establishment GOP, and they're just the beginning, really. It's not just the GOP. The Democrats are freaking as well. The media is freaking out. They've got to figure out a way to stop the Tea Party goers because you're winning, and they have all the power, or so they thought. Well, the establishment GOP, being the elitists that they have become, underestimated their power against the Tea Parties. And here's the great news. So do the Democrats. The GOP is like Ivan Drago in Rocky IV. Yes, I'm going to the Rocky IV well here. Everybody thought he was invincible. He couldn't lose until Rocky landed a punch that cut the Russian, you know what I'm saying? Changed everything. The GOP didn't believe it was possible to beat the machine that they had built. And now they realize it. And now they're freaking out. They don't know what to do. I don't know anything about Christine O'Donnell because I don't vote in Delaware, and the political analysts on this network are far superior than I am. I look at the big picture. Faith, hope, and charity is what I'm working on now in 828. But I find it interesting that the establishment is yelling at her, calling her nuts, saying that she hasn't paid a bill. Really? I wonder if anybody in the media will look at her opponent in the general election, Chris Coons. Does the word progressive come to mind? Dare I say it? Marxist. Someone should look into him. They're also saying that she will cost the Republicans a seat because they think that she will lose the general election. Well, I got to tell you something. First of all, the guy we just got rid of was that was a Republican? Really? It's not about Republicans or Democrats. I couldn't care less about the Democrats or the Republicans. It is about values and principles. And if the GOP was so concerned about the seat, why until today were they refusing to support her in the general election? I'll tell you why. Because they only care about their own power, and these people are a threat to the power, the little system that both parties have set up that George Washington warned us about. Well, there is good news. There were so many complaints that were pouring into Washington, and the GOP, they were not stupid. They started looking at it and going, wait, and the GOP has backtracked, and now they're going to back her. Yet another victory for the Tea Party. You have done it. And you have done it the right way. You haven't globbed onto some labor union. You haven't tied yourself to big money or special interest groups. You're moms and dads. Despite what Nancy Pelosi says, this is a legitimate grassroots movement that didn't try to trick the American people into a general jingoistic name for their groups like Americans for Successful and Happy America to hide behind. You've done it really the way that the name suggests, a Center for American Progress or Center for the American Way. Those names suggest really this: honesty, decency, just people coming together. It is the equivalent of David and Goliath. You're up against everyone in this country that has power, and you won because you're up front about what you believe. See, I have this crazy little notion that if you just tell American people the truth, they will sense it. If you're lying to them, it will eventually come undone, and then you are toast. But you made your case to the American people, and the people are responding. Wouldn't it be great if everybody in both parties did the same? The progressives who think the Constitution is outdated, hey, why don't you honestly say that? Why don't you, instead of dancing around fancy words, you know why you don't? Because you can't, because you know the American people won't go down that road. So you just smoke your pipe and come up with fancy ways of saying it that people don't understand, or so you think. But Thomas Jefferson was right. The American people may make mistakes, but they will figure it out, and then they will correct it. And you're seeing the beginning of the correction. Let's just have the debate, will you? Don't hide behind groups like Center for American Progress. Just say what you mean and mean what you say. So, last night was a big victory. But what would Glenn Beck be if it wasn't for Glenn Beck being the buzzkill? Let me say what I've been saying all along. This movement is bigger than any one election cycle. You cannot turn this ship, which is the size of 1,400 aircraft carriers, around overnight. You can't do it in a week, you can't do it in a month, maybe not even a year. You're certainly not going to do it with one election. It took progressives 100 years to get where they are today, and there's much, much more to do. I also think, remember the old adage that I've been saying to you, the truth shall set you free, but first it will make you miserable. You may have real losses coming this next election season. You might, because the press is not going to do their job. It's going to be incumbent up to you and incumbent on you to get people out to vote. Now, I don't care who you vote for, Republican, Democrat, or Independent, but our founders knew that you were the stopgap. When all three branches of government would fail, you would step to the plate. You've got to get out in record numbers. You have to make this a historic turnout. So here's what I think is the most important thing to do to be able to get people, because who's against this, really, honestly? Limited government, run by we the people, moms and dads and entrepreneurs, and personal responsibility. Who in America could possibly be against that? Who's for big and global government run by special interests and bailing people out that are too big to fail? What? You're not talking to the Republicans. You're talking all of these things. These things, they go limited, smart government that helps the people who really are in need. These things, Democrats want too. Not progressives, certainly not revolutionaries, but Democrats do. So now here's the thing that you have to do. I think this is very important that the Tea Party movement gets this, and I'm just speaking as an outsider here. Kind of extreme makeover Tea Party edition. Or better yet, have you ever seen the show? I've heard about the show. I haven't watched it. Have you ever seen the show on TLC, What Not to Wear? That's what needs to happen. I want to tread carefully here because I know the Tea Party movement, the 9/12 movement, and 828, everything based on principles. And I want to make sure that you understand clearly. If you change who you are, if you change or compromise your principles, you will lose. So I'm not talking about any of that. I am saying that maybe it's time to lose, I don't know, the Statue of Liberty costume, you know. Maybe no more dressing up, you know, with Abe Lincoln or, you know, putting the foam finger on your head or something like that, or the Obama is a socialist t-shirt. You might want to put that back in the drawer, and let me explain why. What was missing in all the coverage of 828? I mean, besides any fact. What was missing? Do you remember the buildup? All the hate that will be on display, all the racist or dishonoring MLK. Well, there didn't seem to be any hatred there. The coverage was amazingly not about the crowd. Why? Well, for a couple of reasons. One, that's not who you are. You're not haters. And two, the media, I don't know who suggested that maybe you leave the signs at home. The media wasn't given the opportunity to take anything out of context. There were no signs. Sure, the Huffington Post tried to do the obligatory, look at all the crazy people at the event photo slideshow. Yeah, this guy's crazy because he's wearing a red, white, and blue shirt. These guys are crazy and out of touch. Don't they look like your neighbors? Crazy, the Founding Fathers. This is actually crazy. The Constitution. These are actually from the Huffington Post. This is what they were left with. A shirt that read Restoring Honor to say that's crazy. I mean, who thinks that crazy besides Charlie Rangel?